What's up, Green Bay Packers fans? Welcome back, and as always, thank you for joining me. My name's Paul Brettel. What a win for the Green Bay Packers on Thanksgiving Day against the Detroit Lions. Today, we're here to talk about my big takeaways from it. But first, hit like on the video, hit subscribe on the YouTube channel. I do greatly appreciate it. You can find all my work over at Packers Wire, and you can follow me on Twitter at Paul_Brettel. So like I said, we're here to discuss my big takeaways. The article version of this is a series that I do over at Packers Wire called Behind the Numbers, taking a look at the key stats, key figures that you need to know about that help define the Packers' performance in that given game. So let's dive in. First up, we have Jordan Love. Let's start with Jordan Love and his 8.4 yards per pass attempt. So just to put that number into perspective, over the course of the season, 8.4 yards per pass attempt would be the third highest rate in football this season. So again, right off the bat, excellent performance in that regard. Finished the day completing 22 of his 32 passes for 268 yards with 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. Now, beyond the numbers, what to me really took this performance to an entirely different level is that he did not have a run game to lean on. For one, the Packers have not been a good run blocking team this season. They were very short-handed at the position, having to sign Patrick Taylor off the New England practice squad, having to re-sign James Robinson to their own practice squad, and then elevate him for Thursday's game. So they were short-handed at a position in a facet of the game that they already have not been very good at this season. And then on top of it, you're going up against one of the best run defenses in football. The Detroit Lions averaging 3.8 yards per carry, or allowing 3.8 yards per carry this season coming into this game. The recipe was never there for the Packers to be able to lean on the run game in this game. We know that they knew that. Of course, they came out throwing the ball, and I'm going to guess that the Lions were fairly well aware of that as well. So the Packers essentially entered this game somewhat one-dimensional already, somewhat with an arm tied behind their back, again, not having a run game to lean on. And when a team becomes one-dimensional, that, of course, benefits the defense, especially a Lions defense where the strength is in their front seven. And Zach Thomas talked about this previously, when the edge rushers in particular don't have to necessarily worry about the run game, whether it's because they're stuffing it or it's an obvious passing situation, 3rd and 12. They can just pin their ears back. They can go from point A to point B to get after the quarterback. When there's a run game to worry about as well, it takes away some of the pass rush's bite. Packers didn't have that advantage in this game, again, because they didn't have a run game to lean on. Also, schematically, from a defensive standpoint, if you don't have to worry about the run, you can just primarily defend the pass. You are able to do, as a defense, the dictating in those situations. So on top of Jordan Love's performance, he had that going up against him as well. And again, against a very, very good front seven. Yet his young pass catchers were still able to deliver an impressive performance. Love was confident back there. He was decisive. That time in the pocket allowed him the ability to go through his progressions, didn't have that feeling of needing to hurry, forcing any throws. And also, when there's time in the pocket, that of course benefits the pass catchers. There's that extra extra second, which the game of football is a lifetime for them to create some additional separation. So awesome job by Jordan Love in this game. Obviously, coming into this season, the Packers wanted to win games. They always do. But really, goal number one was to figure out, can Jordan Love be the guy moving forward beyond the 2023 season, beyond the 2024 season? And while there were some definite bumps in the road, some uncertainties early on in the season, the last month of play from Love, and then especially this game on the stage against an 8-2 Lions team, for all the reasons just mentioned that we just talked about as well, he absolutely looks like he is the franchise quarterback, the guy that the Packers can build around moving forward. Just an impressive day from Jordan Love. Next up, Green Bay Packers offense was 3 for 4 in the red zone. As they've been much better as of late, moving the ball in general in between the 20-yard lines, but even with their recent success, getting to the red zone has been a big issue for them. In the previous 3 games, they've been there 15 times, which is an impressive number. However, they've converted those 15 opportunities into touchdowns just 4 times. Matt LaFleur talked about last week how a key contributor for their issues in the red zone has been their inability to lean on the run game, to have a run game to focus on when inside the 20-yard line, because you're in a condensed part of the field at that time. There's only so much space available when you're inside the 20, inside the 10-yard line. So inherently, it's going to be more difficult to move the ball through the air. There's more defenders in a confined space. There's just less space to operate within. And so when you can't move the ball on the ground, and that puts more of a burden on the passing game, maybe allows the defense to put an additional defender in coverage, that just muddies things up even more. And again, makes it more difficult to move the ball through the air. So a run game is really important. And going back to the previous point just made, this again enhances the performance that we saw for Jordan Love, because the Packers were 3 for 4 in the red zone. They converted three of their 4 red zone trips into a touchdown. And that again is a credit to Jordan Love, a credit to his young pass catchers, and a credit to Matt LaFleur as well. I thought overall he did an excellent job as a play caller, from a game plan standpoint, in terms of how they wanted to attack this Lions team. Green Bay came out the gates aggressive. Jordan Love talked afterwards about how they wanted to set the tone, how they wanted to start fast, and they absolutely did that. And a key facet, a key contributor to their victory was that they were efficient in the red zone, something that hasn't happened for them previously. We talked about Jordan Love's play. We'll get to the play of the young pass catchers, but the opportunity for Love to have this type of performance doesn't happen without the play of the offensive line. The offensive line in week 4 against the Lions was bullied. Just absolutely bullied. Love was pressured on almost 50% of his dropbacks in that game. He was sacked 5 times, hit 11. And not just the sheer pressure numbers that the Lions were able to generate in week 4, but it was the how quick they were able to get to Love as well. It didn't matter in that game what play was dialed up, who was intended for. The Lions were wrecking it almost immediately. This game, however, night and day difference in performance for the Packers. Love was not sacked at all. He was hit just 4 times. And as I previously mentioned, with that time in the pocket, you can go through his progressions, doesn't have to force anything. Additional opportunity for the pass catchers to create separation. And it's not just this Lions front in terms of the players that they have that makes this group so challenging. Obviously they have Aiden Hutchinson, Isaiah Buggs, Aleem McNeil, and others in that front 7 that you have to contend with. But from a schematic standpoint, they do a really, really good job, Detroit does, of just causing chaos, causing confusion. They use a lot of stunts. They use a lot of blitzes, and they'll switch up who's blitzing constantly. They use a lot of different personnel groupings as well. Again, it's a lot of eye candy for the defense, pre-snap, post-snap, to cause chaos, to cause confusion. But credit to the Packers offensive line. They did a really, really good job of handling that. And the game of football has changed a lot over the years, but if you can control the trenches, a lot of times you can control the game. And we saw the Green Bay Packers do that, especially in pass protection. Now, the run game wasn't able to get going. And again, already mentioned why. It was never going to get going in this game for the reasons mentioned. Packers haven't been good at it, shorthanded at running back, no Aaron Jones, and the Lions are really, really good at defending it. But what I will say is, the fact that the Packers had the multi-score lead allowed LaFleur to at least stick with it. He didn't have to completely abandon it. The Packers finished with 19 true rush attempts in this game, compared to 32 passes for Jordan Love, 32 pass attempts. So kept a somewhat relative run-pass mix there. And the other thing I'll say is they, for the most part, avoided negative plays. They weren't trying to run the ball on first down, then all of a sudden in 2nd and 12, 2nd and 13, it's something that happened a lot in week 4. They were at least moving the ball positively, again, for the most part, keeping them ahead of the sticks, and again, not falling too far behind those down and distance markers. So excellent performance, bounce back game from the Packers offensive line. Turnover battle. Matt LaFleur comes into every game saying we want to win the turnover battle 2-0. This week, they won it 3-0. And Green Bay entered this game having generated the second fewest takeaways in all of football. Go back 2 weeks, 3 weeks, Matt LaFleur has talked about repeatedly how the defense has to do a better job at forcing takeaways. For one, helps out the defense. They get off the field. But also, it gives your offense that now has gained some traction, but man, during that 4-game losing streak, some additional opportunities to go down and score, improve field position, really, really could have gone a long way. And in this game against the Lions team that, despite their overall record and success that they have, they have been a bit turnover prone this season coming into this game, and the Packers were able to take advantage of that. We'll talk about it here in a second, but it was all due to the pass rush. Green Bay was able to pick up 3 fumble recoveries, one of which Jonathan Owens scooped and scored for a touchdown. Unfortunately, the offense wasn't able to take advantage of the other 2 opportunities and turn it into points. But again, it got the defense off the field. It shifted the momentum. It took away scoring play opportunities for this Lions offense, gave the Packers additional opportunities, allowed them to run more plays, time of possession. Again, even though points weren't put on the board, there's just a huge ripple effect in terms of what those turnovers do and the impact that they have on both sides of the ball. And while we're here, mention Jonathan Owens, heck of a game, especially coming off that performance against the Chargers. But he was flying all over the field. He led the team in tackles with 12, which to a degree can be a bit of a hollow stat, but I thought that he was in on a ton of plays, hitting hard, flying around, making plays at the line of scrimmage. Really, really impressive performance from Jonathan Owens. Next up, we'll transition right into that Packers pass rush because, again, it was dominant. Matt LaFleur said after the game that this, the offensive line play and their ability to get after Jared Goff is why they won this game, why the Packers were in control of it for as much as they were. Jared Goff, according to ESPN, was sacked 3 times, all of which were by Rashawn Gary. He was hit 12 times, and then as just mentioned, the Packers forced 3 fumbles. Pressuring the quarterback is always important. We know that. It's the name of the game in the NFL. But against Jared Goff, against this Lions team, it's a must. Goff is incredibly efficient, incredibly effective when throwing from a clean pocket. He's completing 75% of his passes at 8.2 yards per attempt when kept clean this season. On the flip side, when under pressure, his completion rate drops to 53%, and he's averaging just 6.1 yards per play. Again, pressuring Goff, getting him off his spot, disrupting the timing, the rhythm of the play is incredibly important. And Goff still found success passing in this game, completed 29 of 44 for 332. But a lot of that damage was done, after the Packers had control of the game. A lot of it took place late in the game. For the most part, the pass rush was able to get after him to disrupt him, just took away, the Lions' ability to move the ball downfield through the air, and just in general put points on the board, which is something that they've been very good at this season. Now, helping that pass rush out was, again, the fact that the Packers were able to play with a multi-score lead for a lot of the game. It took away some of the Lions' ability to lean heavily on the run game. And this Lions team, that's what they want to do. That's the name of their game, running the football. And the run defense still gave up some plays. I believe David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs averaged 4.8 yards per rush between the 2 of them. But again, what I will say is, unlike in week 4 where the Lions rushed for 211 yards, what the Packers didn't allow Detroit to do was dominate on the ground. They didn't allow them to control the game on the ground. And Joe Barry there was a more concerted effort schematically to put the players in position to try to stop the run game. They were, at least on the initial viewing, it looked like there was more cover 1 being played by the Packers with an additional defender near the line of scrimmage. And just in general, they were shrinking the field, condensing that space, trying to limit the Lions' ground game. Because again, that's where everything begins and ends with them. They want to run the football. And once they're able to run the football, they're really, really good off of play action. So at least limiting, not letting that part of the game, Lions be able to dominate that part of the game was crucial for the Packers. And for the most part, they were able to accomplish that combination of, again, players being much more sound, swarming to the football, much better tackling, good gap responsibilities, that condensed defensive formation that Joe Barry is playing with. Again, and then all of that, again, puts the offense in more obvious passing situations and allows the pass rush, as it did, to take over. Rashawn Gary obviously led that charge, but I thought the Packers edge rusher group as a whole did really, really well. 2 more. Lions were just 1 for 5 on 4th downs in this game. We all know the Packers defense has struggled to get off the field just in general this season, but on key situations, 4th downs, they were very, very good in these situations against Detroit. Like I said, Lions converted just 1 of those 5 opportunities, and if we include their fake punt attempt, they were just 1 of 6. Dan Campbell has been very aggressive in those situations. He has put on tape that he will absolutely run a fake punt in those spots. And Rich Bisaccia was 100% prepared for it. You could tell based on their alignment that they were ready for Detroit to run a fake in that situation. After the game, Lucas Van Ness said that Bisaccia told the group before that play, keep your eyes out for this. It's probably coming. So great job by Rich Bisaccia having his guys prepared. Great execution by Ineg Bari, by Lucas Van Ness to bottle up the ball carrier in that situation. But Packers defense, special teams in that case, did an excellent job of getting off the field. And one thing I'll add to that sequence of that few plays there, just the epitome of what complementary football is. The defense forced the fourth down. The special teams stopped the fake punt attempt, and then the offense took advantage of the field position and went and scored a touchdown. We haven't seen a ton of complimentary football from the Packers this season, but that was a perfect example of what it can do and what it should look like. Lastly, this was easily Christian Watson's best performance of the season. He led the team in receptions with 5, led the team in receiving yards with 94. But again, going beyond the numbers, I think the most encouraging aspects of this was, one, he and Jordan Love were able to connect on a downfield play. And funny story that we learned about after the game. So for starters, the Packers, again, along with receiving the opening kickoff, which was uncharacteristic for them, usually when they win the toss, they want to defer, have the opportunity to double dip before halftime, out of halftime in terms of scoring opportunities. But like I mentioned earlier, Jordan Love said they wanted to set the tone. They wanted to start fast, so they chose to receive. And part of that was taking a deep shot right off the bat. That play was put in the playbook this week. Jordan Love said that they made the decision on Wednesday that, all right, here's how we're opening the game. But Matt LaFleur said that as he was mulling that over, Wednesday night into Thursday night into Thursday morning, he texted Jordan Love Thursday morning and said, maybe we should go a different route on this opening play. Love said, no, this is how we want to start. Let's do it. LaFleur said, all right, we'll ride with it. Before the game, he told Christian Watson, hey, heads up, it's probably going to be a good opportunity, or the opportunity is probably going to come your way. Be aggressive. And LaFleur said, and as we saw, Watson did exactly that. So interesting peek behind the curtain behind how all of that unfolded and how it almost didn't happen. But nonetheless, like I was saying, great to see Watson and Love connect on a downfield pass attempt, something that hasn't happened as often as we would have hoped this season. And also great job by Christian Watson to come away with several contested catches. Again, something that has given him fits this season. The Packers are, other receivers, other pass catchers are stepping up, and I'm going to touch on that in a minute. But if this offense is going to reach its true potential, it's going to take Christian Watson having these type of performances, having this type of impact. They have a lot of playmakers on this offense. They have a lot of speed, versatility, but there's no one that can do what Christian Watson can. So his emergence, his continuing to build upon this, is going to be really important for this offense. Last thing I'll say, Jayden Reed is quickly, over the last few weeks, becoming kind of that go-to option for Jordan Love, but I talked about this previously, and Thursday was another example of it. The strength right now for the Packers is that Jordan Love can really go anywhere with the football. There isn't one player or even two players that the defense can key on in a specific situation and say, all right, we got to take this player out of the play, because right now Love is showing and his pass catchers are showing that really on any given play, 4 or 5 guys could get the football. And many of those players all have the ability to generate big plays. That's a really, really added stressor for defenses when you have to be mindful of literally every skilled position player on the field in just about any given opportunity. So right now, that is what the Packers have as a huge strength for them going right now. That athleticism, that speed, that versatility, the ability for so many players to make plays. We saw Malik Heath get in on the action, a really impressive performance on just 11 snaps. And again, that is what the Packers have to lean on right now. After the Chargers game, 10 different players had at least one reception in that game. Against the Lions, 8 different players had a target. 5 of those 8 had at least 30 receiving yards. So again, it was a great performance by the entire skill position group. Love has the ability right now to really go anywhere with the football. And like I said, that is just a huge added stressor for defenses. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. As always, I appreciate it. Those are my big takeaways from the Packers' performance against the Lions. As always, hit like on the video, hit subscribe on the YouTube channel. I do greatly appreciate it. You can follow me on Twitter at Paul_Brettel, and you can find all my work over at Packers Wire. So until next time, friends, take care, stay safe, and as always, go Pack Go.